What's up, football fans, and happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans, of course, because this is American Thanksgiving. And as a football fan, though I live in Canada and already had my Thanksgiving, yeah, I still have a little niche for American Thanksgiving, being such a big football fan. Pretty excited for today. Now, week number 12, before we get into week number 13 for the picks and predictions of the NFL. We didn't do so hot here in week number 12. We did not. 8-5 isn't terrible. 8 points isn't terrible when there was only 13 games. However, that 5 is a little on the high side, right? We could have still broken 10 points, this week pretty easily, and we didn't. So we fall back behind once again. Of course, we already knew this because I was, feeling under the weather and, sick during the process. So we know that the last video that Cleveland had already managed a big upset victory up against Pittsburgh. Ironically, because I was humming and hawing about changing that pick to be another upset. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? Then we clean up pretty good. Minnesota beat Chicago. Detroit beat Indianapolis. Though I will say Chicago gave Minnesota more of a run for their money than I would have thought. And Detroit didn't put up as many points as I thought they would. They put up most of those points in the first half, I believe. But I wasn't watching that game in particular. Though Miami managed to beat New England, just like everyone pretty much expected. Tampa Bay destroying the New York Giants. Now, of course, what game was I watching? Watching my Cowboys go down in flames. Backtrack. They did not go down in flames. Crazy that they did. Actually, they won 34-26. Though it was a crazy end to the game and stuff like that. And Washington really, Dallas seemed to be able to read and stuff like that. I'm gonna give it to Cooper Rush. He was doing quite well for the most part. Definitely a better performance than last week. But really, this was the defense all day. The defense was just on point and getting it done. As everyone I saw on Reddit say the same thing and stuff, not trying to take this away from Cooper Rush, but had Dak been in and that defense had shown up, that would have been a no question winning game. We would have been winning the whole time because the offense was struggling and it just, I talked to every Cowboys fan I can think of, and we were like, just imagine we won that like that. Imagine if we had Dak in there and stuff. And it's like, yeah, exactly. It's so funny that you hear from non-Cowboys fans, and they think that Dak is the issue with the Cowboys. But lo and behold, even when Cooper Rush, who didn't put up near the numbers that Dak does and stuff like that, Cowboys, when the defense is on, it sort of makes a big difference, doesn't it? Dallas in a surprising, and I did not pick them because I still think Washington's a pretty good team this year. I picked against my Cowboys. They can't win all the time, and I was wrong. So, joke's on me right there, right? So that's my second loss, and then I don't do so hot after that. It's just 1-for-1. Kansas City beats Carolina, but Houston loses to Tennessee. Denver beats Vegas, but Green Bay destroys San Francisco. Then Seattle beats Arizona, though not as handily as I was hoping for. And then my big upset pick for the week, the Rams, get, 20 points ain't bad, but the 37 makes it look like they got pretty handled, pretty packed up and put away, right? So there's that. And then Baltimore does end up beating the Chargers. Pretty close game, though, one possession game on Monday night. So we end up with 8-5, I'll take the Dallas loss. I mean, realistically, we're hoping, since even with a win like this, even if we have a couple more wins, if we make it to the playoffs, there's no reason to do that. And all we do is, we're looking at next year. You got to look at that draft picks. You got to look at the draft order. You know what I mean? So for us, this isn't exactly. It's a bit of a double-edged sword right now. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a double-edged sword, but it is what it is. Let's move on here to Thanksgiving football and week number, where everybody's playing 16 games. Week number 13, we have Detroit and Dallas. Of course, always at home, always for our Thanksgiving. It's just a tradition. Let's keep it that way. Detroit, of course, plays that early game, and Detroit up against Chicago. Well, kick their ass, because they seem to do pretty good against Minnesota. You know, that was a pretty tight game, pretty close there at the final score. So let's go Lions still. And you guys will notice the line is pretty heavily favored this way this week. So, well, Dallas over Giants. I was always intending, and I think I said this in the last video, I was always intending on picking them over the Giants. I just didn't think they could handle Washington. But then again, maybe this win sort of went to their heads, even though it was still close. And they, you know, if that same defense doesn't show up, it might spell disaster. Who knows? Who knows? But I still got Dallas picked for the Giants. I expect them to win by at least a touchdown worth of points. Then we have Green Bay over Miami for kind of obvious reasons. Kansas City over Vegas. Kind of obvious. Chargers over Atlanta. This, for some reason, the Chargers are in the favorite column on Yahoo. If you look at the analytics, they are certainly not favored. But Atlanta has also let me down this year and stuff like that. And I'm a grudgy sort of person, you know. I hold a grudge, you know what I mean. That's why I didn't pick Denver after they lost to KC. I was just mad at them, you know what I mean. Fuck these guys, right? So yeah, I'm picking Chargers right now. We'll see what happens on Sunday if I want to change that pick and stuff. I'll probably relook at that game going forward. That's one I'm not so confident in. But though I am confident in picking Cincinnati over Pittsburgh. Now, Cincinnati, I still think Pittsburgh has won a few of their games, not exactly so stellar, so hot and stuff, but their record can't lie. And just because they lost to Cleveland last week doesn't mean they're all of a sudden going to lose to everybody. But I do have the Bengals over Pittsburgh. I really don't think that Pittsburgh can put their money where their mouth is when it comes down to it. And, you know, these big AFC teams, when they go head-to-head and stuff like that, you know, and they're bigger franchises and stuff like that, it just seems like they both bring it. So this week I'm going with Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Minnesota over Arizona, no question there. Indy over New England. I mean, yeah, because New England kind of suck. You know what I mean? They kind of really suck. But that being said, Indianapolis Colts aren't exactly the most stellar team in the world either, but it's just the obvious pick. Seattle over the Jets, just no question whatsoever there. Fuck the Jets. Jets suck. Jets. Sucks. I'm sure that's what it spells. Washington, even though they just lost over Tennessee, no question there. Just because, you know, every team's going to lose. Kansas City just lost. You know what I mean? So every team loses. You know, very few. You know, you have a Patriots and a Miami Dolphins once in a while, but perfect years are just, they don't mean they're a terrible team or whatever. Teams lose. Teams lose all the time. You know what I mean? Any given Sunday is the same. So, but still going with Washington at home. I got faith there. And Dan Quinn there, who we should have promoted to head coach. Houston over Jacksonville, same reasoning there. Jacksonville's not a great team. Houston might have just lost, but Texans are still good. They're just not as good as last year. They were a better team last year. That's absolutely true. But they're still not a bad team. Rams over New Orleans. Yes, because fuck Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. So you can just consider that one an upset too, even though it's technically in the favorites column. I don't know why. But they are actually in the favorites column, and I was like, and I did sort of look at it, and I went, nope. You know what? Haven't done it all year. I'm just gonna pick all favorites at this point. Let's just see what happens. Tampa Bay over Carolina. That's obvious. Baltimore over Philadelphia. This is interesting. Baltimore over Philadelphia. Baltimore's problem is that they are kind of like the Cowboys and inconsistent. Sometimes they'll put up 44 points, and then other weeks not even be able to score. Like, you can't even get into field goal range. Like, what is wrong with you? You can't even get into the red zone, let alone score anything. Baltimore has that same issue. They also do the same thing the Cowboys used to do, and Tony Romo's Cowboys, is they play to the level of the team they're facing. So if they're facing, using this year's teams and lineups, if Ravens face Carolina, they play at Carolina Panthers level. If they face off against KC, they play at KC's level. Tony Romo's Cowboys were famous for doing this. We could go head-to-head with Tom Brady, head-to-head with Peyton Manning, head-to-head with Brett Favre. Then all of a sudden, we're struggling against guys whose name I don't even remember. You know what I mean? So, absolutely. But I'm still going to pick them because I don't think Philly's as good as everyone thinks. They're good. They're a good team. They're just not something's missing from them. I think ever since they fell off last year when they were kind of going for it, looking like a great team, I don't think they recovered yet from that. I really don't. It just seems so kind of wishy-washy to me. But that is definitely a difficult pick. I know some people are going to be definitely going with the Eagles there, even though it's considered an upset. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Buffalo over San Francisco, with San Francisco injured as they are, unfortunately, and Buffalo coming off a big KC win. Got to go with the Bills on that one. And finally, Denver over Cleveland. Cleveland might have just beat Pittsburgh, but I don't trust Pittsburgh that much. I don't trust Pittsburgh to be a good evaluation of a team's strength. So I'm going with the Broncos. I'm over my hatred of the Broncos. Let's go Broncos for Monday night. And there are our Thanksgiving picks for week number 13 of the NFL Picks and Predictions. What are your guys' picks? Let me know down in the comment section down below as always. And have a very happy Thanksgiving if you are in America. As a Canadian, we already celebrated mine, but I wish the best to you and yours. So, that being said, happy Thanksgiving. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys back here next time. Have a good one. Watch some football. Have some turkey. Even have a drink if you so choose. It's up to you. However you want to celebrate your Thanksgiving. It's good on my end. So, have a good one.